welcome to the When I Wanted Out talk show. My name is Kola-Edun. Thank you so much for joining us on the previous episodes. We do hope that you've been enjoying them and you're sharing, commenting, liking. Today's episode, we're discussing a story titled, I Made More Money Than My Husband, and dealing with his ego was our primary issue. Now, this sad story happened, of course, in a setting in Lagos. And we know that a lot of things that happen in Lagos, we're getting more info day and day on this show. So this particular story is about a pregnant woman who tried to make her husband look good at his father's chieftaincy ceremony in their village. She woke up very early that morning and left for the market to buy the groceries that she would need for the food they were going to take to the village. She got home very exhausted, only to be welcomed by a slew of verbal abuse. Her husband was hurling all kinds of insults at her, causing her to leave the house. Now, to mediate the situation, her mom volunteered to prepare the food that they would take. Her husband, however, did not wait for the food, knowing full well that her mom's driver was bringing them the food. The driver had to chase them down for an hour and a half so they can take the food along with them. When they finally got to the village, the husband was the one sharing the food and the drinks as if it was his initiative or as if he made it easy on his pregnant wife. Now, if you'd like to know more about this story, the full details, the intricacies about this story, please catch the full story on our social media platforms. You see it on Instagram, you see it on Facebook, and let us know what you think. Now, to discuss this story with us, Mr. Yemi, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
I was going to say your full name at once, but then I'm like, you're Mr. and Mrs., and I did not want to let go of Tega's name in the middle of it. And Mrs. Tega,
yes,
Yemi Jimo.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. Now, what is your opinion on this story? I'll start with Tega. What did you take from this story? What was your initial reaction to this story?
I think I was just very irritated. Then I read it, I was like, what's this? Why are we doing this? Why are you verbally insulting someone? Why are you treating me this way? Like, why are you treating her this way? Okay, I'll put myself in her shoes that,
Yes.
why would you treat anyone this way? Why would you treat my mom this way? This
yes.
is disrespect for me, disrespect for my mom. Like, I just, and you're not even concerned about my own condition. I am pregnant, heavily pregnant, with a 2-year-old that I have to take care of. And I'm still trying to do this to please you. And I'm like, this guy has no regard for her mom. I don't know if he even cares for her. Yeah, so.
Yeah, do you have a different perspective too?
Of course.
Well, for a man, right? I'm not trying to justify it.
Yes,
It's
okay.
nonsense behavior.
Okay.
But for a man, it's when a man's ego is bruised,
Okay.
they tend to act out. So it's obvious that he's a very selfish person. Because at no point was he thinking about his wife or anybody else that was involved. It was about how he was feeling. So reading the entire story, you understand that the problem was because he felt like the wife was taking responsibilities that he should be taking because she was earning more than him. So he already felt less than a man in the home, right? So his reactions were a result of him lashing out based on those things. Not her fault. She's earning more than him. She's earning more than him. There's nothing she can do about it, right? So his responsibility, he was supposed to put his ego or his feelings in check.
Right.
But he failed to do that.
Right.
And a lot of men, let me use the word a lot of men fall in that category. And it doesn't necessarily have to be money, but the moment they feel like their egos are being tested or belittled in some way, even though it's not the person's fault, they react by lashing out at the person.
Right.
So for him, I think it was a lot of that. It's still stupid behavior because she was trying to help out. For example, when she came back from the market, as the husband, you shouldn't be worried. Where's my wife?
And she's pregnant.
You're pregnant. Are you good?
And you don't have a driver. You didn't volunteer to take her to the market.
Yeah. And she comes in and the first thing is to throw insults at her without knowing where she's been, if she's okay, how Was she stressed from going to the market and things like that? So it was selfish. So I'm not using the word "it doesn't care."
He was just like, at that point, he was being very selfish.
He chose to be selfish, but the funny part was, he did it for 10 years.
That's so
Because she said, that was the part that blew my mind. She said, "Oh, these are the kind of fights we had for 10 years." I was like, "Sorry, what?"
Yeah.
10 years consistently this kind of fight.
Right, because she made more money.
Because she made more money.
Okay, so but now a woman that is in a marriage where she's making more money than the man, how do you expect her to behave? I would ask about the man, but how would you expect a woman? So now, if Tega was the one making more money than you, what should I expect you to be doing?
Me too, I want to leave a baby boy. I want to relax and be taken care of. I think my mindset is a bit different. For me, it's the only problem would be if she's rubbing it in your face.
Okay.
She's intentionally belittling you because of that. Because that happens.
Yes.
Where she feels like, oh, I'm earning more than you, so I can talk to you anyhow, so I don't need to respect you and all of those things.
Yes.
That's where there's a problem, right? However, if both of us, our goal is still to take care of our home and build and also make both ourselves better in this marriage and this family, then it shouldn't matter, to be honest. It really shouldn't matter. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, so even if, let's say, the wife is earning 2 million and the husband is earning like 500,000, just so both of you can agree, let's put a percentage of our earnings into the home, into things that we need in the house. Right? So that way you don't feel like, oh, you're not doing anything because you're doing everything out, right? Okay. So if it's like 20% of you, 20% of mine, we put in an account that we use for household things. Okay,
so there's an instance where the woman makes more money.
Yeah.
Yes, and the man is working.
Yes.
Then there's situations where the woman makes more money.
And the man is doing nothing.
The man does nothing.
However, so is the man doing nothing but trying to find something, or is the man doing nothing and
he's
spending
just
his
lazy.
time lazy? That's a different ball game.
Okay, but I don't think in this case the man was lazy.
No, I don't think it was.
Yeah, it looked like she was just earning more than him. So what would you do if your husband made less? What would be your?
So there's this thing that I heard from someone, and stuck to me. She said, people forget that the husband and wife have become a unit, and God can bless the unit through the window of the wife or the window of the husband. Yeah. That we keep forgetting that we are a team now. We are no more two individuals. It's not a competition between you. It's not you versus me anymore. We are one. And it's like, oh, this is what we have. We put it down, let's use it. It's not like, oh, now this is my money. I'm going to use it for how I want to use it. So it's God has blessed this unit, but through the window of the wife for now, because tides could turn at any time. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
So we would assume in this case we're saying that all things being equal, the man is accommodating of his wife making more money, and the woman is also careful how she approaches the man.
Yes.
Because his ego can be easily bruised.
Yes.
When you constantly tell him, oh, is this what a man should be doing? I'm making more money than you. And you don't run things by him anymore.
Yeah.
You just go ahead, make the decision. You kind of put him down. Things like that. I think that's what you were trying to say, is that it's okay if you make more money. You just have to be careful how you act. But then there's still some men though. You are careful, you disclose, you bring money home, but the man himself,
that's a personal problem.
Yes.
Yes, so that's a personal problem.
Yeah.
That's a mindset thing that he has, a problem he has to deal with, right? But we need to blame someone. In most cases, when you're going through something, you always feel the need to pinpoint someone who has to be at fault for the thing that is wrong with you. In that case, in cases like that, sometimes the men choose to point at their wives as the problem.
Right.
Even though it's all them.
They are not looking internally to see that they are the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this instance, we see that there was verbal abuse. And most likely, if she endured this for 10 years, it was emotional abuse. Right? This person that told the story said she stayed quiet. Anytime he starts, she keeps quiet. She doesn't talk, she doesn't contribute. Would you say this is an ideal way of dealing with the issue? Or, yes, or?
So there's nothing that exchanging words would have done for her. Probably aggravated the whole situation.
Okay.
But the problem with consistently being battered by words is that you start to become what is being spoken over you. You start to see yourself in that light at some point. You start it diminishes who you are inside by bit without you realizing.
That's right.
Then it's almost like you're being mentally imprisoned, but you don't know. And that's why someone keeps telling. That's why even for children, you keep telling the child, "Oh, you are stupid. You don't know anything." That child grows up thinking, "I'm stupid. I don't know anything." And you think that, "Oh, I'm a grown woman. I know my value. I know my worth." But if he keeps telling you something, look at you. You're not even. You can't even take care of yourself. You're not beautiful. You're not this, and just keeps hurling those insults at you. You realize that if you actually take stock, you would realize that you start to believe those.
You start believing
those things.
Yes, unconsciously.
But she stayed quiet.
Yeah, so for me, I didn't agree with the staying quiet part. So I understand that in conflict,
Yes.
you keep quiet just to avoid
Yes.
back and forth.
Yes.
But I kind of got the understanding that she also chose not to even address it. Because she probably didn't want the headache of it.
Yes.
But it's important that situations are addressed.
Yes.
So you have a quarrel. This is a problem. You
Yes.
go back and meet the guy when, obviously, I don't believe it. 247 of every given day is
fighting.
angry.
Exactly.
And it's just hate your presence. I don't believe that. Because for you to even stay
That long.
there obviously will be moments that you choose to hold on to.
Yeah.
So in those moments that you know that you can speak with him and say, these are the things I have problems with or have issues with. These are things I think we need to work on. It's possible that in that conversation you can get aggravated, and that's fine. But always ensure that you say your piece. Because the truth is, what people fail to understand is, even in that state, he's listening. It now depends on what he does with it, but he's listening. So it's not that you're just tossing things at him. It's listening. So he's soaking up what you're telling him. So ensure that that's done. Because when you're quiet, it's almost like some sort of approval.
Yeah, that's okay. It's an acceptable behavior.
It's fine.
Okay, I'm going to keep taking it.
He's the man of the house, so he's fine. So and he continues to live up to that.
Right.
But it's also important how she delivers the message.
Yes.
Because you can go back to say, "Oh, I don't like how you spoke to me," and you'll be rude about it and you'll be nasty about it, and it doesn't solve any problem.
Right.
So in also passing across your points in a time where there is less aggravated or where the
So you have to pick your right time to talk and
the right words, just ensure that you do everything that you can to do it at the right time and say the right thing so that the message is heard.
Right.
Because the goal at the end of the day is I'm not fighting against you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to hurt you. And knowing that my intention is not to hurt the person. So how do I show that I'm not hurting this person? How do I show that even with my hurt and even with the fact that I'm trying to correct or teach, I'm coming from a place of love?
I think that's where we need to hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
Every man will listen. Every woman will listen. You just know how to communicate to that person, when to communicate to them, how to communicate to them, where to communicate to them. All of that is really important. And I think these are conversations that you really need to have with your spouse, trying to understand them. Okay, is this the right time to talk? Is this not the right time to talk? So you would have to make sure that both of you hear each other out so you can move forward. But we'll take a short break so we can understand, for those that are in this situation, what do they do? We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the When I Wanted Out talk show. We're on the issue of emotional abuse, verbal abuse, and how do we live with it? So I'm going to pass the question to Yemi. What should a woman do right now who happens to be in a situation like this, where she's being emotionally abused, verbally abused? It hasn't gotten to physical abuse, but she's slowly becoming a shadow of herself.
So first things first, internally, because I feel like there's a part as regards the person you're with and also for you as a person.
Yes.
So with the person you're with, have conversations.
Okay.
Find ways to speak more.
Okay.
Find ways to feed into things that they can understand. Because not everyone likes confrontations. But always, pretty much as you said earlier, know the time, the place, and how to pass things across to that person. 'Cause you
Right.
guys have been together for a bit. At least you would. I've seen a few things. You're like, no, okay, in this, he's always usually calm at this time of the day, or when he's doing this thing, or this is the best time for us to speak to him. You know, you've kind of get an idea of when and how to come to him with words and communication. So that's that. Internally as well, you need to find some way to cleanse yourself off of the things, because emotional abuse is like a slow poison.
It kills.
It kills.
Yeah.
So if someone is injecting things or verbal abuse, saying things to you, and you're feeling, oh, it doesn't affect me, but you find that you start to become those things that are said without
That's
even
right.
realizing it.
That's right.
So aside from going to meet him, you also need to deal with yourself internally. There's therapy, there's counsel. You need people or someone, right? It could be a therapist, professional therapist, it could be whoever, that you can always go back to in terms of finding yourself again, right? Because you find that you lose yourself. A lot of people, particularly women, lose themselves in marriages.
Yes.
Because they accept these things and then they find a way to mold into.
So I would actually even want to contribute. I want to contribute to this discussion because we've had this conversation a few times in the show, and what we always end up with is money stops nonsense. If the woman has money and is able to stand on her own, and the husband knows that this woman can live, you know.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah?
I don't agree with that.
Then
Because it could go a
either
different way. Because the truth of the matter is, the moment you realize independence is great, but it can also be dangerous.
Okay.
Especially in a marriage.
Okay.
You're not meant to be independent in a marriage. And that's the truth.
No, but see, financial independence, because most times emotional abuse comes
Yes.
mostly because the woman
It's not
able
dependent.
to stand on her own. So the guy sometimes may feel like, in this case, we see that the woman had more money, yes. But, you know, if she left, she would still have been okay.
Yes.
Do you understand? But those that don't leave and keep taking the abuse for years is because they don't see a way out.
Yeah. But do we know that the ideal is not for you to be even financially independent outside your marriage? Let me explain.
Exactly.
The ideal is not for you to be saying, "Oh, I have my own,"
This
and
is
it's
my
not.
own.
It's not your own. It's sad. I think that the foundation of what marriage is has been corrupted a lot by how the world defines it, and then we find that two individuals stay individuals even in their marriage, and that's not the case. So even with financial independence, and I usually will encourage people be financially independent, man. You don't want to enter marriage and be taking nonsense. And we say that, but however, in the true sense of it, you're not supposed to be independent in your marriage, even with finance. And I say even in finances because yours has become his has become yours. In the true sense of it.
Yeah, but what
However,
most men,
yeah, like I was going to say, as well, for men, they use that especially when they feel like the woman has a hold on you. So it's important to be able to have your own and be stable.
yeah.
Right? Be comfortable in your
Yes,
own way,
in
so that
your
it doesn't
own.
feel like you're a niche or you're fully dependent
On him.
I
Yes.
agree with that fully.
Yes.
Right? But it's also because the downside to that is the moment you start to come into a place of I don't need this person.
right?
You stop being couples. You stop being a couple. You stop being roommates in the house, and I've seen that.
I see how that happens.
Especially when you feel like, so you don't see the point in need to communicate.
Yeah.
You don't see the need to air your differences. You just say, it's saying trash, man.
I'm out.
I need a break. I'm going on vacation. I don't need this nonsense. And you find that you're married, but you're away most of the time.
Do you know, I had a conversation I saw some of my family members, and one of my aunties says, "Oh, I'm going to travel from January. I'll come back in November." I was like, grandpa, okay, it's going to be fine. And she's going to go and stay with her grandchildren.
Yes.
So it's good that they did not build a friendship going along, a partnership. It was like they lived separate lives. And so now they're older.
Yeah, she was thinking of the home or thinking of the finances, and they just
Drifted apart, you know. So maybe some kind of things happened along the way. We're not quite clear, but I believe personally that everybody should stand on their own. You can make sure that you're a unit, you're a team, you're always coming together, you're always discussing finances, you're always discussing your issues. You know, it's clear, you do that. But emotional abuse, I think it's very difficult to speak to an abuser. That's my personal, I'm not sure if you are agreeing. A man that would visibly belittle you, belittle your parents, belittle everything about you, kill you in that sense, at some point, you really would not be able to talk anymore. Even if you want to say something, you are not confident to say it anymore.
Yes.
You are tired of telling him you don't like it. And like you said, you start believing it. And the flip side, men go through the same thing, right? So men don't speak up, but what would you advise men to do?
Because the truth is, hurt people hurt people. And then is knowing that the basis from that person, the reason why the person is acting the fool and acting the way they're acting is not about you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel in most cases, you start to, feel little in terms of the person because you almost feel like maybe it's your fault or you're the problem. But it's not. It has nothing to do with you. So I think it's knowing that's like the first liberation you should have is knowing this is not about me. This is the things he's dealing with, the trauma he hasn't dealt with, the things he's yet to uncover about himself. It's not me. I'm not the problem.
Okay.
That's the first thing, right? And then, of course, there are times when it's difficult to even speak to those people like that because, they never see their wrongs or see their faults. In most cases, you put up a block around your heart and around your mind.
Yes.
Right. So I understand for a woman like that or a man like that wanting to say, okay, I need to also have a life outside of this marriage. And I usually say, I know, as I said earlier, you come together, you become.
Right.
It's also important to also have your own an identity in some sense.
So you have to be sure of who you are.
Know who you are as a person
before you get
into
married.
marriage,
yes.
Right? Once you get into marriage and you need to be able to define, how do I define myself? Then how do I define us as a couple?
Right. So that needs to be done before you get married.
Yeah.
And if you miss that step, you can always try to find a way to backtrack yourself to that point.
But emotional abuse is tough.
It's terrible.
It's tough.
It's a terrible place to be if you're constantly being emotionally abused. I would say if you can't take it anymore, because men becoming a shadow of themselves does not help anybody. It doesn't help the children involved.
It's worse for the
It's
kids.
worse for the kids.
Yes.
The biggest lie is saying I'm staying in the marriage.
And she
for the
said
children.
it. She actually said it.
Because the
Sorry,
truth of the
that was
matter
about
is,
kids.
this is speaking from someone who lived in a family where I thought my mom was emotionally abused and verbally abused all my life. It looks like, I'm keeping the family together. But you're doing more harm to the children because I grew up seeing the effects, even as a man now.
Still seeing
effects that this has had on my life, on my siblings,
Right.
on ideas of relationship, on ideas of people, on ideas of how we are vulnerable as well.
Right.
It destroys a child, right? Unconsciously, consciously. I'm just grateful that even I'm aware. So people are not aware of why they're dealing the way they're living the way they're living.
Right.
So it's important that in situations like that, you're also, if you're truly thinking about the children, you're not going to stay and pretend because they see it all.
Yeah.
They see
So
it all.
I think we can wrap up this conversation, right, with your advice. What is your advice to men, women that are living in emotional abusive marriages?
I can't give a blanket advice.
Right.
Because for most times we say, it's because the person was financially dependent on the other person. But I know a situation where the reason for the emotional and verbal abuse was because the woman wanted to work, was working, and refused to quit her job.
Okay. She didn't give up the job, and so the husband was.
He kept calling her a prostitute, kept calling her all sorts of things. She finally left, and 30 years later, let me say 25 years later, she was still dealing with the effects of that emotional abuse outside of the marriage.
Personally,
So even if you say leave, you need to still seek help.
Yes.
Yes, and leave. So
Leaving is
there's
not
really no
just
blanket response to this.
Blanket response.
My first was going to say, what's the Holy Spirit telling you?
Yeah.
but the truth is, when she said that so I read the part where she said, I didn't want to divorce because God doesn't like divorce. And I'm like, I get that, but
you can't separate.
yes,
Separate.
You might need to leave, right? You might
Get
need to
yourself-
leave. Get yourself.
get a
Also,
therapist.
go back and ask God, this is what you want from me. There's sometimes when this might be intended to be something, and then the man has refused to yield into what this is supposed to become. So God, is this still what you intend for me to be doing?
But I think we need to go through therapy.
Everyone is, and if you're living in Nigeria, you need therapy times 100. Everyone needs therapy.
Therapy. So
Absolutely.
if you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, seek help.
Absolutely.
Professional help. Don't just talk to a friend or your mommy or your daddy. Seek professional help. People that can
Don't
help
even
you.
speak to your friends.
Yeah.
Because people always speak. So your friend will give you sometimes, because they love you, tell you what you want
to
they feel
hear.
you need to hear at the time. Or even your mom, right? So
It's emotional
it's easier to
response.
find someone who is a professional, who's
Yeah,
outside
outside
that
of
can
the
give
marriage.
genuine responses.
That's
and genuine
right.
advice and
That's right.
counsel.
I would say go and find and seek professional help with whatever situations you're facing. Because if your self-esteem is short, that's it, you know.
It affects everything.
Everything about you is affected. So go and get professional help. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to our wonderful guests.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, we really love this conversation. And if you have something else you would like to contribute, please feel free to send us a message or comment. Let us know your thoughts on this. Thank you very much. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media handles. My name is Kola-Edun. Thank you. See you same time next week. Bye-bye.